Hello and welcome back, everyone. You are watching Alteryx tutorials. I am Mark Thompson and this is Watermark Data. Today's session is going to be weekly challenge number 106. And I'm actually going to do the same challenge in two different ways, just a tiny bit of difference between the two. So it shouldn't take too long to go through the two different ways, but I wanted to show you an example of something. Today's challenge is to take, and you've got a house and it's got inhabitants. And the idea is that you turn on the lights whenever you're in there and you turn them off when you're gone. Well, today we want to find out how long the lights are on in each of the rooms. And so we have this set of data, and it's the living room, the kitchen, the bathroom, and when somebody comes in and when they leave. When they come in and leave and come in and leave, and each person does the same thing. Now, sometimes there's going to be overlap. So one person comes in at, say, 10:30, and the next person comes in at 11. The first person hasn't left yet, and then they leave, and then the second person leaves after them. So the idea is to find out how long the lights are on if somebody is in the room, and you have to take into account that people may come and go at different times, and that may overlap. At the end, what we want is a result that looks something like this, where we show each room and how many distinct minutes the lights are on in each room. Let's go ahead and get started. These two are going to be mostly the same, so I'm going to talk about them in unison. And that is, the data entry is just the same. The data result is slightly different. And this is a question of how you interpret questions when you're presented with them. This is actual business, right? Somebody says something and you go, well, do you mean this or do you mean that? So you have to kind of filter through that. In this example, I also change time with one method, and up here I change it with a different method. So we've got this data, and we enter the room and we exit the room. And the first thing we want to do is we want to get this in a format, a standardized Alteryx format. And so up here in the parse menu, you've got a DateTime tool, and you can pull it in, and you select which column you want, and you tell it what you want to call it on exit. And then you need to tell it what format you've got. Since this particular format that we're using here is this AM/PM method, there isn't one in the list for that, and so you've got to do a custom for that. So the syntax for that is %I:, %M, space, and then a %p, and that indicates that AM/PM indicator. This tells you what it comes in like. This tells you what it's going to be output as. And then the exact same concept here for the convert exit. So we've got the field we're pulling. We've got the name that we want to call it, and we do the exact same formula because it's in the exact same format. And then if you've been watching any of my tutorials, you know I like to keep my data clean, so I simply slap on a select tool here, and I get rid of these columns, these fields. Up here in this formula, I'm doing effectively the exact same thing, only I'm doing it with the formula tool, with a DateTime parse. The enter field, the exit field, %capital I, whoa, don't want to change it, %I:, %M, space, %p. And I can put it in the notes down there. There is a great page for the cheat sheet, if you will, on what the I's and the M's and the P's mean. And then we've got a GenerateRows field. And effectively, how we're going to attack this problem is we're going to identify for everybody that comes in and out, every single minute that takes up these spaces, every single one of those minutes. And some of them are going to overlap and some of them won't, but we're going to generate a single row for every one of the minutes that exists in this in every single one of these records. Okay? That's what this formula does. It says first we're taking the date time 2 and a 2 string plus a space plus that enter time that we got. That's our initiation. When are we starting? Right? Let me go ahead and run this real quick. When are we starting? So if you take a look at this, we have an enter time and an exit time. And what this GenerateRows does is it now, for every minute that it's starting and exit, 52, 53, 54, 55. And then the formula recognizes that it has a different enter and exit time. And so it's creating 15, 16, all the way on through 45. All right? Conceptually, that's what's going on. Now, the difference between the top and the bottom. On the bottom, and I have this here because the check data output, when you go to the challenge, the check output has these 3 times, 68, 206, 302. Well, I wanted a formula that matched up and said the same thing as the check data. However, to do that, it says that it's, and here's the difference right there. This minutes, it'll stop the condition when minutes are less than the 2 string exit time. Exit time. The difference being mine says less than or equal to the exit time. So it's a difference if you want to include that final minute that the person is in the room or whether you do not include. If it says from time to time, do you include that starting minute? Do you include that exit minute? And that's the difference between these two formulas. And they do render a tiny difference. If you look at, if I throw a browse on here and you can take a look at it, you see that up here, if you don't, or if you do include the minutes, you've now got 805 record. If you don't, if it's less than, then it's only 777. And then these last two, the sums are the exact same. And what we're doing is we're going to group it by room. And then we're going to count the distinct minutes. Mind you, back here, if there was a time where they were in the same, this time right here is going to show the exact same time. So we're coming down here, 15:45. Well, at 10:30, you're repeating that. 10:31, 10:32, 10:33. Come back up here, 10:31, 10:32, then 10:33. So you are replicating the minutes. You don't want to replicate the minutes. You want to know in total, how long is that light on? So you count the distinct minutes that it's been on, and that's when you come up with a result. If you don't include the exit minute, then it is a total of 68, 206, and 302. If you do include the exit minute, then it is 76, 210, and 309. Slight differences. Understand your data, understand the question. Make sure you're clear on both. By the way, if anybody, this is kind of a side tidbit. If anybody is ever questioning about DateTime and what is the official Alteryx format, the best way you can think about it is it's gradually getting smaller. So you start out with a year, then go to the month, then go to the day, then go to the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. So if you've ever kind of looked at a formula and go, oh, what is the standard Alteryx data output? All you've got to do, and this is what it finally clicked for me, because I used to ask that question when I was starting out. And all you have to do is remember it gets smaller. It starts with the years, then the months, then the days, then the hours, and the minutes. All right, hope this has been a good session for you. Again, my name is Mark Thompson. This is Watermark Data. This has been challenge number 106. If you like what you saw, please hit like, please hit share, tell your friends, and of course, I'm always interested to hear your comments. Have a great evening.